Hey friends, welcome to another edition of the Living Marriages podcast. Thank you for tuning in for another best of episode. If you've been with us the last couple of weeks, you know that we've been revisiting the archives as we as a family have been journeying through a complex and difficult season, walking with April's dad in his final days here with us on earth. We're grateful for your prayers and your kind words to us and your support during this season. And so in the meantime, we hope that you'll find this conversation to be an encouragement. It was an early conversation we had with great friends of ours who work with Family Life Canada, now colleagues of ours and our mentors and bosses as well, Braden and Kristen Hafner. We hope you enjoy this conversation.
When we place God at the center, there's there's more beyond, really. We really believe there's more beyond what you're currently experiencing.
Yes.
And even if you feel your marriage is struggling or hard, we have seen couples, we have walked with couples that have grown and flourished from those moments. And so if there's a point of hopelessness for you, and if you're listening, we just want to try to dispel that as much as we can and say there absolutely is hope for you.
Life is hard, but marriage doesn't have to be.
We're Aaron and April Au, marriage mentors and coaches. Yes, marriage is complex, and our selfish human nature both pulls and pushes us apart. But God has so much more for our marriages.
Thank you for joining us at the Living Marriages podcast, where we share stories of hope and learn how God wants to breathe His life, healing, and health into our marriages.
Welcome to the Living Marriages podcast. We are thrilled to have as guests on this episode two really dear friends of ours. Braden and Kristen Hafner have been with Family Life Canada for over 10 years now. God has brought them into the space of marriage ministry and has been impacting marriages for His kingdom through their work and through their heart for marriages for over 10 years. We've known Braden and Kristen, wow.
At least 15
At
years.
least 15 years.
Yeah.
That makes us feel old.
This is not on video, so people can, but you guys are looking great. But
If our relationship was a kid, it'd be 15 years old.
yeah, there you go.
Teenage years. Ooh.
But we got to know Braden first. I think you actually sat in on our premarital counseling sessions. Braden, you were being trained by our counselor, and since then, God's just grown our friendship. We've been so blessed to have you along in the journey. And we just wanted to get your insight and experience and bringing God's healing and hope to marriages today. And so thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. We're just so excited you're here.
Well, for you guys, anything.
Yeah. Aaron and April?
Yeah.
Got it. We'll be there. Love you guys back. So this is
Thanks, guys. All right, so we're going to start off with, we want to just hear a little bit more about your work with Family Life Canada and why marriages matter to you, why you're doing this, and why marriages matter to God.
Good question.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you want to do the company tagline, honey?
Oh,
You can do that.
sure.
Yeah.
So, Canada exists, honestly, to bring help and hope to every marriage and family. And that's like our tagline that we say all the time. We believe that the family is the foundation of every community. A healthy marriage is the cornerstone of a strong family, and the ultimate and lasting strength of every marriage and family is found in a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Wow.
So those are our found beliefs that they're grounded in.
So we work from, so we live for. That was great, honey. That was so professional. Excellent.
Thank you.
Why marriage matters to us? Well, how long do you have? That's a long story. Obviously we have this drive and internal passion that we both share to have a strong marriage. We've always had that. That's something that we realize takes work, takes intentionality, and requires something from us. But more importantly, it requires Jesus to be the center of our marriage. So we also see how God can transform a society and a culture by strong marriage. So we just realize that the more that every couple moves Jesus to the center of their marriage, the more that husband and wife love each other in a way that's very Christ-like, and then it becomes a witness to the world.
Yeah.
And I think that marriage is one of the best, I like to say, relational apologetics. There you go.
Ooh.
Your theological
Yeah.
training. It really reveals something special. And I think people want to know, what is the secret sauce? Why do you have a good marriage? Why do you love each other the way that you do? And when you're able to share the hope that you have in Jesus through that, and that's why we forgive, that's why we communicate the way we do, that's why we, are in this marriage. When people get wind of that, they want to understand how maybe they can encounter Jesus in their own lives. So that's one of the, I think, main thrusts and push of why we do what we do. There's a lot to this in regards to, why it matters specifically and personally to us. But that's kind of the driving, I would say, foundational principle for us, wouldn't it be, right?
Yeah. And now that we're in marriage ministry and you look back, you kind of just see how God's DNA and love for marriage was implanted in each of our lives. And so it's just kind of cool. For me, I've always been really sensitive to relationships between couples. And so couples that feel safe and, warm and welcoming. I wanted to be in that relationship. I wanted to be in that room. I wanted to be that kind of thing. And then those couples where you're like, oh, I don't feel that safe. Then you kind of steer clear or stay away from them. And so it's always, even as a little girl, I just remember that. And I always, it sounds so corny, but I love love and I love marriage. And I love, as a little girl, I just loved all that stuff, loved going to weddings and loved, and so now that I'm in a marriage ministry and looking back, it's just like, oh yeah, like that's always been kind of imprinted into my life. And even just as a teenager going to camp, and one of the pastors said, like, hey, pray for your future spouse. And I was like a teenager and I was like, that's a great idea. Like, I mean, it's so silly, but like, as a teenager, you're like, oh, sweet. He's got to be hot. He's got to be, I mean, I got that, right?
As long as you think so, honey. As long as you think so.
Just as a teenager, I kind of moved away from praying for like specific, moved away from praying silly things like that to more help him to have a heart for you, help him to have good character, et cetera, et cetera. And so once I started committing to praying for that, I was in bad relationships before, but I found Braden that way. So that was pretty cool. And then for you?
Well, I think individually for myself, coming from some brokenness in my past with family and being the product, I guess you could say, of a broken marriage as well, I see how important marriage is. And my parents obviously went through a lot of seasons of ups and downs, but one of the things that really imprinted on me was the fact that in their walk with Jesus, they decided to work on their marriage, to really lean in to their relationship with God. And it built their commitment muscle for sure, but more so it built their warmth and connection with each other. And I started to see that more and more in my teen years. When you're a teen, you think it's icky seeing mom and dad being loving.
No, you love it too, Dad.
I do. But that really was an important thing for me because I could see the tangible way that Jesus was impacting their lives. It wasn't like Sunday they were acting one way and the rest of the week they were not. It was impacting their everyday. And I knew that because I saw the coldness and difficulty that existed in their marriage before, and then how Jesus made a difference. So I recognize these things, even in those years where maybe you don't want to recognize it, but it definitely strongly impacted me. And I realized that a strong marriage, because it made a difference in my life, it can make a difference in others' lives as well. So I'm like, well, my parents did that work, just put God at the center. I think that matters. And I think if I do that with my future wife, God's going to use that. And then to put that on other couples as well, who knows how God uses a marriage, the purpose that he has in that. And I think that is one of the best ways that we can reach our world for Jesus. I really do believe that. I mean, there's multiple pathways, I guess, everybody has in regards to the God's call in their life. Not everybody's called to be married per se. Well, I guess per se is not the right word. Some aren't called to be married. But I think that regardless of wherever you're at in that, God has a plan and purpose for you. And I just think, though, that the way that we are in relationships, specifically marriage, that can really make a difference, specifically if you choose to have kids or have kids. Makes a difference in your family, even your work life. These are things that really impacts upon those around you. The relationships that are tied to your marriage, it really makes a difference. So I think that's a a short and long answer of why marriage
Yeah.
matters
Yeah,
to
we
me.
just love marriage because, I mean, think about it. Friendship, companionship, always having someone to do life together,
Mhm.
right? That just, oh, it just seems so, it's so comforting, right? There's a
Mhm.
spiritual benefit of
Mm-hmm.
pursuing God together, having one another's back, safety, security, right?
Mm.
The sexual intimacy that comes with that. The first person I'm going to call is Braden, whether it's good news or bad news, and
Right.
vice versa,
Absolutely, honey.
right? Just someone to celebrate with,
Yeah.
growing old with.
Mhm.
I realize that more and more as I age, but and as you said, if you have kids, right, sharing parenting, grandparenting duties together, inside jokes,
Mhm.
right?
Have fun together.
Like
Yeah.
facing life's disappointments and challenges together, like having each other's back.
No.
Like, oh man, right? And just being a soundboard for each other. What do you think about this? It could be silly, it could be a more intense conversation, whatever it is. And just, yeah, there's just so much there. So I always kind of say, like, you and I always say, like, we're each other's home. So wherever Braden
Mhm.
is, that's where home is. And wherever I am, that's where home is for
Yeah.
you. And so it's just, we just love marriage because there's just so many things to that. It's a journey, it's not a
Yeah.
destination.
Yeah.
Um, and just journeying with it together, and seeing each other grow in maturity. And I don't, it's very, very cool. Very cool
Wow.
journey.
You guys have cast such a beautiful vision for what marriage is, can be, God's heart for marriage, God's desire to be at the center of marriage, our marriages, and just the transformational power, Braden, as you're saying, of what
Mm,
it means to have Jesus in this marriage with us. Um, you've worked with a lot of couples over your 10 years of working with family life. Um, and so I'm sure you've seen a lot of marriages that haven't been flourishing, functioning well, healthy, kind of the way you were describing marriage just now. Um, what would you say are some of, well, maybe let's even just do a top three. What have been some of the top three challenges that you've seen over the years that kind of just keep coming back over and over
Mm.
for marriages today?
Sure.
mm,
And one thing I want to say before we talk about the challenges is you're right. We have walked and journeyed with many couples, seen many couples, and we just want to say before we get into the challenges of why marriage can, have some struggle to it,
Mhm.
that there is such hope. If you're
yes.
listening out there,
Mm,
you might be thinking, "Well, my marriage doesn't reflect what
right.
you're saying."
Right.
There's
Mm,
hope for you,
always
and
hope.
every marriage, when we place God at the center, there's such there's more beyond, really. We really believe there's more beyond what you're currently experiencing.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
even if you feel your marriage is struggling or hard, we have seen couples, we have walked with couples that have grown and flourished from those moments. And so if there's a point of hopelessness for you, and if you're listening, we just want to try to dispel that as much as we can and say there absolutely is hope for you. So
Yes.
anyways, that caveat, yes, there's, there are definitely, common threads and themes of struggle and challenge that couples face. I mean, you mentioned three.
Yeah.
Um, and do you want to talk about a few of those? Yeah.
Well, the common ones that we see kind of come up, but we're going to talk about, we're going to dig a little deeper for a second. But before we do that, money, sex, and in-laws generally surface to the top.
Mm.
And then there's like conflict, but there's conflict in those three things I just said:
Yeah.
communication, shared responsibilities, and time together. So that's way more than three,
No,
but I'm
that's
just
great.
giving the general ones that kind of surface. Now, if you look at each individual one, there could be solutions to that. There could be communication in that. There could be conflict in that. There could be responsibilities in that, etc. But if you dig a little bit behind all
Right.
those,
Right.
there seems to be a lack of intention.
Oh.
When we were first married, or when we first started our relationship, we were really high in intentionality.
Mhm.
Then the speed of life happens and intentions go elsewhere. We're not purposely being like, I'm not going to give you attention. It's more like our attention is drawn away from each other to other things, hobbies. Now your family has doubled, your friendship circles have doubled because you're married. Um, and so like these are not necessarily bad things. These are good things. Work is good. Kids are good. Hobbies, friends, family. These are all good things, but your intention gets split
Mm.
elsewhere. And so it's just saying, okay, we had a lot of intention before. How do I bring that back in our everyday life? Because all relationships naturally drift, right?
Yeah. And
it's just not something we do together. Sorry.
And that actually gets even deeper. There's a deeper level. So she talked about kind of the surface level presenting issues.
Yeah.
One layer level deeper. And then there's another layer that's even deeper than that. And we've taught this before. I mean, you got to come to weekend getaways or whatever else to kind of learn more in depth about this. But a lot of our issues as couples stem to kind of two macro issues, which are differences and drift. And so, I mean, if you're listening, I think it's pretty clear to you, it's evident to you that you're different from your spouse.
Yes.
Surprise, surprise. And those differences often are the things that really we butt up against early on in our marriage, because that's when we're uncovering them. And those differences can be the source of a lot of contention for us. We don't like the fact that we're different. We don't recognize it as a good. We see it as something to be managed, or we try to create our spouse in our image.
Try to eliminate those differences.
And so we try to eliminate those differences as best we can. And that creates a lot of a push and pull early on in our relationship. And what we always teach and try to talk to couples about is learning to appreciate your differences. Why? Because God has created you on purpose, for a purpose. He's created you uniquely and individually. And you don't lose that when you get married. Instead, we have to learn how to navigate our differences and then learn to appreciate them. It's not that we can't have a little bit of pliability in this, but there is a sense and understanding that the more that we try to fight against this, the more that we push each other away. Whereas the more that we can learn to embrace those differences, the closer we draw to each other. And then we learn that these become strengths in our relationship. Kristen is so much better in so many ways than I am. And while there's while those things might frustrate me, like for instance, she is very organized. She is very she's very much detail oriented, and I'm not. Those aren't strong suits for me. And what the fact that there's this difference that exists in our relationship, it can grate on me for sure. Or I can recognize the strength that she brings into the relationship and honor that, but at the same time realize there's things that she's just so much better at than I am, and vice versa.
Well, and vice versa for sure. I was going to say.
And so learning to appreciate those differences takes time.
Easier said than done though, hey?
It is easier said than done because we just can't help ourselves, right? We want to eliminate differences. I think we all do it on a level. So if you're listening, don't feel bad that you've tried to.
We've been married 16 years and I'm still like, Kristen, stop it. Just leave him be. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about like, things that can harm your marriage or
no.
We're not talking about those differences. We're not talking about like those ones where you're like, that's not acceptable.
Right.
Just talking about,
just unique nuances to us that are there. And so that is a big macro issue that every couple deals with. And that's typically one of the reasons why we see the first bump in divorce in marriages in Canada, which is year 4. And it's often caused because of differences.
And too different.
So that's something that, I mean, we're going to face that in the life of our marriage. You're going to uncover differences even in year 25. It's just that there's so much that you're encountering new early on, and you're a little overwhelmed by that. And then you start to have that real temptation to be like, oh, maybe there's somebody out there that's better fitted or suited for me. And that's a lie, because you're going to leave your relationship now, get into another relationship and realize you're different from them too. So that's the challenge, is like, you have to understand that God created both of you and he wants to work in that. He doesn't want to like, he didn't create, like for me, he didn't create someone specifically in the sense that is identical to me. I think my marriage would be very boring if I married someone identical to me. But the fact that Kristen is so different, that's the secret sauce. That difference is something that makes us so much more well-rounded. And the second kind of macro issue that every couple deals with is drift. And every couple goes through this. We go through seasons. I mean, both of you guys are raising a young family. When you have young children, it can be very hard to find time for each other. You're just focused on co-parenting and just keeping your head above the water. And it's a hard season to find time for each other, to steal time away together. And that's what so many couples go through, is a season of parenting if they have kids, or even just life in general, where you're busy, hectic, pace is very hurried. It feels like at times it can feel out of control, but you're doing your best. And then year 2025 rolls around. Your kids are older. They don't need you the same way. And you look across each other at the proverbial table and are like, who are you? Because you haven't really spent that time engaging with each other.
Intentionality, yeah.
And it is hard. Every couple goes through that. But drift is something that every couple goes through. It is not something that like we don't magically drift together. Drift never works that way.
Just naturally drifts apart.
Marriage is an intention game. We have to have intention every minute, every hour, every day. And if we lose that, and that's the slow erosion that happens with drift, it becomes something that builds into a habit and a rut in our marriage. And it can be hard to come back from if we don't address or stem the tide that drift is causing us to pull us apart a bit. So I don't know.
Never drift into good things.
No.
So like,
when in life have you ever just drifted into something good?
I just drifted and look at me.
No, anything that you've gone after in life, you had intention. You wanted a college degree, you had to work for it. You wanted that career, you had to work for it. You wanted to get healthy and exercise, and you had to work for it. These are things you have to work for. And for some reason in marriage, maybe because of culture, we just don't assume that we have to do, or we don't think we have to do that in marriage. Like, because the way that culture portrays marriage is you find the one, and if you find the one, it's easy.
Well, it's kind of, marriage is the finish line. Yeah. It's not, it's the starting line.
No. Yeah.
And so I think that's a different view, that culture, right? Because all the movies end when they get married, right?
Right. Yeah. I wish we could see them 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And so we've talked about some of the challenges and just the depth below those surface level challenges. Thank you for giving us that framework to look at it. That's really interesting. I'm curious, as you've worked with couples and these things have come up, what are some stories of hope and healing that you've seen, whether in your marriage or in the marriages of those that you've worked with?
Well, it's hard when we go through a Rolodex of stories in our mind to just pick a few. I mean, there are many that you encounter, and you have the privilege of journeying with couples. And it is a blessing to see the fact that God cares so deeply about every couple. And there's miracles that occur in that. There's just even the miracle of choosing to love each other. And it seems like the mundane day in and day out, but that is a miracle. That's a beautiful thing of marriage. And so we see that in couples. Some stories that really stick out to us is we know this one couple that was coming to a weekend getaway, which is something that Family Life does all across Canada in beautiful locations. And this one couple was not in a good place. We're not going to use their names, but they drove down to Jasper, and actually it was Lake Louise, wasn't it, honey? Drove down to Lake Louise, and they didn't say one word to each other the whole drive down.
Wow.
Their marriage was in a bad spot. They really didn't have a lot of hope. And they had been to weekend getaways before.
Yes.
But they hadn't really intentionally invested in what was going on.
They didn't implement what they learned.
They didn't implement it. And this time they were in a crisis point. So they came down and they pulled us aside, I would say probably 3/4 of the way. Excuse me. 3/4 of the way through the weekend. And they were in tears. And we're like, oh. They pull us aside and they just said that through the weekend and what they had gone through in that to that point, God had did a transformative work in their lives, and they had actually talked about some things they had discussed in years. They had chosen and made some decision about what they were going to do moving forward. They got on the same page, even in the midst of just a few days they had done that work, and they had such hope. They were in tears.
Wow.
They could see that God was working. They could see that there was a tomorrow for their marriage. And so a couple that had such a hard rocky wall existing between them before, that they had no idea how to bring that wall down. Now they had seen God do that work, and they had a new day, a new tomorrow that they were excited for. And that story, there's many like that, but that one really sticks out of just those points in time that you have with couples. And we're so blessed to be able to see moments like that and be part of moments like that. And that's one that stuck out to us when you asked that question. I mean, there's many more, but is there anything else you want to share?
I think like it's just a good reminder for us too. Like, there's so much head knowledge. Like, you can
Yeah.
get knowledge from
Mhm.
so many places. I'm
Yeah.
constantly bombarded by all the books and podcasts that I listen to and we listen to. And it's just, there's so much head knowledge. And just the story of this couple, they've been to weekend getaways. They've talked to us many times. We've given them resources, et cetera, right? And it came to a point where they had to make it a heart thing, like
Mhm.
Mm.
heart knowledge, and actually put it into practice. And it's just a good reminder for ourselves, or at least for me, that yeah, that's good to take stuff in, but where am I practically applying it?
Mhm.
And what are some practical applications and tools that I can take? Because it gets a little overwhelming. There's so much stuff, and like we do marriage full time. That's our full time gig, basically. And sometimes I listen to podcasts and read books, and I'm like, man, we're behind. Like I just feel
Mm.
Mhm.
so overwhelmed, and so there's so much we're not doing, and we're not good, and you can really spiral inwards or
Mm.
implode, if you will, and
Mhm.
that's not helpful. So you just okay. So what can I take one thing
Mm.
and just
Mhm.
apply it to my marriage? What's 1% better I can be? And
Mm.
just saying, okay, I have to be intentional to change anything. It can't just stay in the head. It has to move to the heart to be intentional and change. And so, what can I apply to my marriage and actually try it out? Because too often, and we fall in this category too, you learn, and it's all this head stuff. But have you actually applied it? Like, did you
Mhm.
actually try it? Like, nah, that didn't work, or tried that didn't. I'm like, well, did you really try it
Mm.
for a consistent amount of time? And so just I think that brings a lot of hope and healing into marriage. Just simply asking yourself, okay, what from here can I apply? And
Mm.
not to get overwhelmed, but just say, if I could make this week 1% better in my
Mm.
marriage, what would that look like? What's one step I can take?
Right.
And that's a lot easier of a because you see that little bit of increase, you see that little bit of hope, that little bit of joy, and it keeps you going. It keeps encouraging
Right.
you
Mm.
to keep going.
Well, and we really only need a small percentage of like no, but we only need to notice a small incremental change that
Yeah,
keeps us going.
right.
Right.
And
Mhm.
we've seen that time and time again with couples where they get 5% better. And that's the thing that keeps them coming back is like,
Mm.
Mhm.
wow, okay, there's a chance here. We like not only a
Mhm.
chance, but there's a real hope for a great marriage just simply by saying goodbye and hello to each other, kissing each other
Mhm.
goodnight.
Wow.
These little changes
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
we can make,
little things.
holding hands is, giving a kind word to each other instead of something colder, like little things that you can do that just give you those incremental changes because the hill seems so high for so many couples, maybe years of drift or years of unresolved conflict, and they don't even know where to get their first foothold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
you give them that little glimmer of hope, simply in little practical things, tangible things that they can do, whether it's just praying with each other every day,
Mm.
little things like that, and they start to get that wind of change in their life. And
Mm.
that's the thing that keeps them coming back and keeps them going. Because I think so many couples, there's analysis paralysis.
Right.
They just look at their mountain and it's too
It's
big.
too,
They
yeah,
don't
I
want to
get
start
that.
climbing because they only see how the work ahead, but they don't realize it is one small step in front, one by one, every minute that they can take that will actually get them to the top of that mountain. And I think that's how God kind of helps us in this is, you know what, he's with us in every moment. And
Mm.
he just calls us to be living in the present right now. And
Wow.
I think that that's what we have to do. Just be present in these moments. And then you're going to start to see that change occur. And that's the cool thing that we've been able to journey with couples, whether we're mentoring a couple face to face or speaking from stage. We get to see couples that apply some of these things, get that understanding of how God can work in their marriage, and move forward. And
Mm.
that really is the thing that pumps our tires and keeps us coming back.
And trust us,
Mhm.
we're not perfect.
No,
Every time I'm like, we teach this for crying out loud. And it's just, you know what? We're on this journey with you. And it's just,
Mm.
Mhm.
I heard someone say once, like the valleys, we don't want to go into the valleys, but the valleys is where things grow.
Right.
And the mountaintop, there's not a lot of growth up there.
nope.
And so
Right.
it's just being appreciative of the valleys. And when you're in them, I know it's hard. I know it's like, I can't see out, but it's just that little step by step, inviting God into it, leaning on each other,
Mm.
and just, yeah, that makes the change, makes the difference.
Mm. It's beautiful. I feel like God's really emerging a theme here because in a couple weeks from now, we're going to be airing another interview with someone who does discipleship with children and for families. And that's exactly what she's been saying too. It's the little things, it's the little seeds that we plant, that God plants, that then take root and then grow. And it's all throughout the Bible, right? You get your Damascus Road experiences now and then, the crazy transformation, everything like that. But so much of the biblical story is planting that tiny seed of faith and then growing with it. And in God's kingdom, it's the small things that really bring
Totally.
fruit.
Which is totally countercultural because we want things quick and easy, right?
Don't we? I know. I'm still falling into that trap.
Oh, I know.
That's
for sure.
Our pastor used to always say, here in Edmonton, he said, it's the small things nobody sees to get the big thing everybody wants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always stuck with me. That was years ago when he was
Right.
preaching on that. And it's always stuck with me. I'm like, it's the little things that nobody sees to get the big thing everybody wants.
And I love that nobody sees, because in our social media, Facebook, Instagram world, we only see the finish line that people present or the highlight reel.
Right.
And we think that's what marriage needs to be. But it's the things that nobody sees that gets the big change. So take down the facade, the mask, stop putting energy into that. Instead, do it in the quiet of your life, in the sense of in your marriage. And I think that's where you're really going to start to see that massive change. And that's lasting change. That's not superficial. That's something that's God-centered and not us-centered.
So I know later on you guys will give us coordinates how people can get connected with you in these weekend getaways, because they sound really powerful.
I think we should go to one.
I think we'll come to one.
You should.
You should, yes. Love to have you guys there.
But can you give our listeners maybe one habit, one small thing that they can even now just say, oh, I just need that spark of hope? What's one thing that we can even just take with us today to bring us hope in our marriage?
I think it's those honeymoon habits, babe.
Yeah.
It's honeymoon habits is like just how to keep you in love habits is what we kind of talked about. It's Braden already kind of mentioned it, but I think it's the small things, like since we're focusing on that. It's like, how do you say hello to each other from being apart? How do you go to bed? How do you get up? It's the little, like a little, when you walk by each other, is there a little touch you can give, a little squeeze on the shoulder, a little back scratch? When you go and get a snack, can you get them a snack or fill up their water? Or it's just the little kiss goodbye. It's just those things compound. And you get a high interest rate for like you get a lot back for that. It just fills your love tanks. I think that's a good one.
That's wonderful, honey. I think one that I would tack on to that too is, I think we try to really conflate a question like that. We try to find this massive academic answer, or even over spiritualized. And I know that's silly, but we can really do this. And if you were to ask marriage experts, what's the one thing that we need to do to have a good marriage? You know what they often say? It's keep being friends.
Wow.
And we lose that. The friendship piece of marriage is so vital and so important, and it doesn't get a lot of airtime. It's something that we need in our marriage, is that the fun component of our relationship. And I'm not saying life is all about having fun. What I mean by fun is, what are the things that you did as a couple that built your connection? What are the things that you valued and cherished as a couple that you engaged with maybe early on? Because the friendship piece is something that we lose over time. And if we're not intentional about doing that, it can be something that we put on the back burner. And when the season maybe, changes, whether our kids are older or not, sometimes we don't know how to come back to that. So I think that if we can have an underlying theme and thread, an underlying script in our marriage, friendship, and keep coming back.
Got us married.
That's right.
Right. We were friends and we wanted to be married to our friend. And so we need friendship to keep us married. Because if friendship got us married, we need friendship to keep us married. And so we fall into the trap too of not having fun together maybe enough. And so just when we promised to be together forever for our lifetime, we made each other's enjoyment a priority, right? To have fun together and laugh together. Doesn't have to be big.
No.
Be small things too. But.
Right. Well, and I think that's something, again, like our marriage can move quickly into the roommate phase. If in the sense of once we lose that friendship, with friends, we're a little bit kinder, aren't we? We use words that are a little bit more uplifting. We want to be together. We like to be together, and sometimes we can lose that warmth in our embrace or touch or even look towards each other over time because we view each other simply as um, someone that we're trying to keep a house together with. And while that's important, I'm not discounting the importance of that. Um, it can become very cold and very robotic in our relationship when we lose the warmth of our friendship.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. It's so good to talk to you and to hear some of your wisdom. And we also, at the end here, have a few what we call rapid fire questions. I'm sure you're familiar with those. um, so our first question is, what's one thing you wish you knew when you got married?
Well, if I was to go back in time and talk to my younger self, I would tell myself to invest in Amazon. Oh, sorry. No. Sorry. Get married, right? I think for myself, I think I would have exactly what we just talked about. I'd go back and talk to my younger self about the friendship and how important it is to foster that and understand that there's some intention and action that goes behind that and be diligent, keep working at that. And so I think that'd be a big piece that I would that I wish I knew when I was married. When I got married, younger Braden. Yeah.
I was trying to think of this and I'm like, what? I want to go back into why marriage matters so much to God. And I think that would be something like I knew that getting married, but I wish I knew it. And what I mean by that is humans didn't invent marriage. God did.
Right.
God designed it. He made marriage on purpose for a purpose. Marriage was there at the very beginning of human existence, Adam and Eve, right? And so God thought the best way to organize society was joining one man, one woman for a lifetime. And so it's just reminding myself that when this whole marriage thing is God's idea. And so when the times get tough and things get rough, that helps you keep going, knowing that this whole thing is God's idea and trusting that he knows best. And so I knew that, but just the constant reminder is a good thing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Second question, what's one indispensable thing that you guys have now in your marriage?
Honestly, okay, so when we first got married, of course we were Christ followers, okay? So we were like, yeah, like we have to be great. We're both Christ followers. We have to be following Jesus. God has to be the center of our marriage, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like the longer we're married, it actually comes to play more. Like it was more head when we first got married, knowledge. And now it's more like, no, this is like needed stuff.
Yeah.
This is indispensable. Like if I don't know how to do marriage without having Christ, because I'm so selfish and I'm always turned inward and I don't forgive how I should. I don't, and have the soft heart that I should. And so when God's there and inviting him into it, it keeps my heart open. It keeps our hearts open. I mean, he's in the business of changing hearts and attitudes, right? And so I don't know how you do it without him. And so just the practicality of having God in your relationship, in a marriage is something that's so, I don't know how you do it without it.
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I don't know either, because even the forgiveness piece, we forgive because we were first forgiven. And I think that like if you've been married for more than 5 minutes, you understand there's moments where we hurt each other and we say things we wish we could take back. And being able to forgive and ask for forgiveness. I mean, where does that drive come from? I mean, where does that come from? I mean, our society doesn't reveal that value. It's more so eye for an eye, right? It's more so I'm hurt, I hurt you. And
what have you done for me
that's
lately?
right.
Yeah.
And so what God calls us to is so countercultural and so not in line with maybe our first response. So we need God in the center of our lives and relationship to be able to do things like that. So I know this is rapid fire.
I know.
Sorry, you will listen to us. Yeah.
That's all right. So our third question is, where can people find you? And we'll, as Aaron said earlier, we'll post some links in the show notes, but where can people look for you?
Honestly, familylifecanada.com. There's a ton on there. Under the tab Growing Together has a ton of stuff on there. Facebook, Instagram is linked at the bottom of that page as well. There's just a lot there, hey?
Yeah. I mean, explore the website, check it out.
Love to see you at a weekend getaway. If any of you ever do, be like, we heard you on the Living Marriages podcast.
I know.
Do you know
I don't know.
off the top of your head when the next one is?
Yes. The next one is in Niagara on the Lake. So that's, yeah. But the one in Alberta is Lake Louise in April.
Last weekend of April.
Yeah. And
2025, because this is a podcast, so someone might be listening.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
2025.
right. Yeah. We're listening in 2026. More coming. Wait, don't worry. Just check the website out.
generally Alberta is Jasper and Lake Louise. So Jasper in November, Lake Louise in April. That's been consistent for 10 years, give or take. So
we're all across Canada, though, even if you're listening.
Victoria.
Unfortunately, we're not in Malta yet. Maybe some, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Braden and Kristen Hafner, what a treat. What an inspiration. Thank you so much for giving us a picture of God's heart, incredible heart for marriage and the incredible hope that he brings for marriages, and even just some of the small practical tools that he's given us to go along the way. So again, thanks for taking the time to be with us, and God bless you and
having us.
Yeah. Well, and thanks for doing what you're doing.
Yes.
I think, this podcast and the fact as a couple that you've chosen to put your hand up to this, we are just so pleased to see God use you in this way. So keep going.
We're honored to know you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for the privilege of journeying with you today as we seek God's best for our marriages.
Before you go, if you've been blessed, challenged, or inspired by what you've heard today, please bless us by hitting the follow button, leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and sharing this podcast with family and friends.
You can also support this nonprofit podcast by making a charitable donation at our website, livingmarriages.com.
Until next time, praying the life, intimacy, and connection of God's love over you and your marriage.